Gregory Sun here. Before Gregory gets going, I will chat a little bit about PreMed Star and give you guys an idea as to what we do with PreMed Star, why we started PreMed Star. Normally, Megan McLeod, she's one of our superstar students, normally hosts webinars, but she's a little bit under the weather today. So because of that, I'll host a webinar tonight, which is great because I get to give you guys opportunities of what PreMed Star is about. And before we do that, let me show you guys a couple of videos, and then I'll talk a little bit. And after that, we'll let Gregory get going with his presentation. I'm going to go ahead and open up the first video here. We'll show you guys 3 quick 1-minute videos here. Tells you a little bit about PreMed Star.
Being a pre-med is hard work. With so much going on, how do you keep track of it all? You're in clubs, you're doing volunteer work, research, presentations, physician shadowing, the list goes on and on. The last thing you want to lose track of, all the wonderful things you've done during your pre-med journey. Well, you don't have to. With PreMed Star's on-track portfolio, you can log all of your pre-medical activities in one place and access them anytime from anywhere. When it comes time to apply to medical school, you'll be good to go. Stay on track with PreMed Star on-track portfolio. Join our online community of pre-medical students for free at www.premedstar.com and tell a friend.
So I'm getting messages that the videos are echoing, so we won't show the videos, but you guys can find those on our homepage of PreMed Star. Am I echoing too much, or can you guys hear me okay? Somebody can just type in the chat bar if you can hear me pretty okay. All right, perfect. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and tell you guys what PreMed Star is about and kind of the whole idea behind it. So my team and I started building PreMed Star about 2.5 years ago, and we had a lot of experience doing some other mentoring organizations and things of that sort. And one of the things that we noticed initially was that there was a disconnect between students and medical schools in terms of a lot of students wanted to make it to recruitment fairs, but they couldn't get out to those recruitment fairs. And because we noticed that problem, we thought that there'd be an easy way to solve it, and that was to build a 24/7 year-round online type of recruitment fair. And so that's where the initial idea of PreMed Star came from, and we started doing that several years ago now. And it's been growing, and it's been doing relatively well in terms of our development. We've got some awesome feedback, and we're starting to get more and more medical schools on board and more students on board, which is a great thing for us. As we started doing that, we realized that there were actually a lot of things that students could benefit from in terms of being in an online community. And we started getting a lot of great feedback from the students saying, hey, Dr. Dale, what about this? Or why don't we add this? And they were giving us some really good feedback. So we expanded out PreMed Star to really offer some great stuff for students for free, because there are so many opportunities that we're using technology we can actually do to help students become better pre-medical students and ultimately better physicians just by leveraging technology, which is what we're doing. One of the things was the first video that I was just attempting to show, which is our on-track portfolio. And with the on-track portfolio, I think back to when I was a pre-medical student, there was a big issue, and that issue was it was very difficult for us to actually keep track of all the activities we did as a pre-medical student. When it came time to apply for medical school, you ended up scrambling and trying to find when did I do this, who did I do this with? There was no real good way to keep track of that. So we decided to just have an online portfolio so pre-medical students can actually upload all that information directly on PreMed Star, have access to it 24/7 year-round, and you never have to worry about losing that information. So that's one thing we do as a portfolio. A second thing we're doing is Note Share. Note Share is going to be a really cool deal. It's going to be open next week at the start of next week. And what that allows students to do is actually log on, upload their notes from various classes, and share those notes with other individuals. So as a pre-medical student, you might take Organic Chemistry 1. You can log on Organic Chemistry 1. You can upload your notes from your class, and then you can share with the community or share with your friends, and you guys can have access to each other's notes. That way you can kind of grow from each other and study and learn together with each other. And of course, the third thing is the Recruitment Center, so the online recruitment network. We have a few medical schools, a few post-bacs participating, and we'll plan on going out and getting more medical schools and more post-bacs We just finished our pilot phase last year, which went very well, and now we're in our beta phase. So we're really excited about that. And that's pretty much what we do at PreMed Star. A lot of great opportunities for students to connect with one another, to connect with medical schools, and to join these webinars. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce Mr. Gregory Sun. I want to call you doctor. He's actually a fourth-year med student, but he's about to finish, and he's done a very good job in med school. He's actually going to emergency medicine, start his residency in emergency medicine next year. I won't tell too much of a story because that's a big part of what we're here for tonight. But I will say that he's the national director of PreSOMA, so the Student Osteopathic Medical Association. I guess he just stepped down, so he just finished his tenure. But with that said, I will open up Gregory's screen here. I will exit and let you take over. You guys, please ask any questions in the chat bar down there, and towards the end, we'll get to a whole lot more questions. So wait. Gregory?
All right, well, very much. It's a nice introduction. So actually, I'm currently at the summit, the National Osteopathic Medical Association's national conference. I'm actually in the AOA right now. So someone was very kind to do that. So thank you very much, AOA. Yeah, so like I said, I'll be going over just a bit of my story today, and just my path and what I became. So this is becoming a doctor. I'm a fourth year going into emergency medicine at Morristown Medical Center, coming in July 1st. So a little bit of outline. I have a quirky sense of humor, and I don't like to be boring in my presentation, so I include a lot of these weird little items. But so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over my background a little bit about MD versus DO. So it's a really big topic. Why osteopathic medical school, and then my medical school life. So breaking down every first, second, third, and fourth year, and then we'll leave time for questions. So, okay, my background. I have a Bachelor's of Science from Rutgers. I did a Master's of Biomedical Sciences at UMDNJ, the formerly known UMDNJ, GSBS, and with Dr. Connell. And I'm currently a fourth year at Rowan SOM. And I, again, matched into emergency medicine, which was my number one choice at my number one place, Morristown Medical Center. In addition, I'm actually a first lieutenant in the U.S. Army National Guard, currently serving at Seagirt, so they help pay for my medical school, but I also I've always wanted to serve. And I've actually been an EMT firefighter for over 10 years right now, and I mentor a lot of other firefighters in my hometown. But let's face it, we're not all a bunch of degrees. I have a normal life as well. On the side here, you can see me and my friend at Las Vegas, and me and my other buddy, Dan, who's a hometown friend of mine. We dress up as the Walking Dead. I was Glenn after he was killed by Negan, so Dan's trying to be Negan. So those of you that do watch The Walking Dead, you'll probably think this is pretty gory but hilarious. There was a picture of my wife underneath here. I recently got married, but unfortunately these slides don't really show transitions too well. But I recently got married in September as well. So let's dive right into it. MD versus DO. What's the same about them? Well, they both can practice. Both have the same practicing rights in all 50 states. So they're able to administer medications, give orders, anything that an MD physician can do, an osteopathic physician can do. We also specialize in all fields, and we will actually soon have about the same match. So the ACGME, which is the match for the MD side, and the AOA side, which is the DO side, they're about to match. They're about to come together in terms of the residency match soon. Within the next, I think they projected within the next 4 years. So things are changing, and we're starting to become pretty similar. But there are still some major differences that we always stick to. So our roots is called osteopathic manipulative medicine, which is actually just training in musculoskeletal manipulation. I don't like to go as far as saying as we're chiropractors, but we do certain things. We do crack people, quote unquote, crack people. But we also do a lot of the musculoskeletal items. And it also actually allows us to have a better understanding of a lot of insertion points in muscles and tendons, because it's something we have to know very well before we start practicing. We also utilize a whole person approach. So that's body, mind, and spirit. We believe all three things are linked together. And generally, my counterparts are more primary care focused. What that means is they're more into family medicine, internal medicine, the people that you see on a daily basis to keep up your health. And there's less specialty training. So in the osteopathic world, there's less dermatology, less plastic surgeons, more family medicine, more internal medicine. So why DO? Well, I want to first just completely knock down the notion that DO schools are easier to get in than MD schools. As you can see here, this is actually an excerpt from this portion here is actually an excerpt from my school. We have the intern class of 2016 had a GPA of 3.6. Now you see here on the average accepted student in the GPA is 3.55. Ours is a little higher. And of the old MCAT scores, we had a score of 29 for those who entered. But the biggest thing was the new MCAT. The first year class took the 2015 new MCATs, which and the total average mean of those that they could collect was 501 from the MD side. So it is actually not easier to get into osteopathic school. It's just as difficult. So don't ever have anyone tell you that it's easier and you should go the DO route. So why did I do DO? I did DO because I believed in the body, mind, spirit mentality. I believe that everything was important in order for you to become a good practicing physician. I also had my first osteopathic school that I saw was Rowan SOM, and I love the atmosphere. I love the family-like atmosphere. Everyone's asking like, hey, do you need anything else? Is there anything I could help you with? And they really seemed eager to get to know me, and everyone just seemed like such a family. That was what I was looking for, a family. I also looked at hub sites that are related to my school, and I did come from Morristown as a tech, so I was eager to get back there and sort of prove myself so I can become a physician, which I, thank God, did. Also, I would have to, I do mention this, I actually had too much fun in college, and what that means is my grade point average wasn't as great as I would like it to be. So I proved myself in master's school, and because of these items, the osteopathic applications actually can replace certain classes that you've taken again in order to revise your GPA. So the application style was sort of like more forgiving on the osteopathic side and accounted more on your personality as opposed to just strict grades, which was good for me because some people may disagree with me, but I think I have a pretty decent personality. Okay. So I started at Rowan SOM back in 2013. I was actually the last person accepted off the wait list at the school, and I rushed my way down there because it was my number 1 choice, and I wanted to stay in New Jersey. So I will start off with medical school life. I'll go through all 4 years, and the first slide for each year will be talking about the basics, what happened, what courses I took, and then the second slide will be my reactions to it. So first year, we learned a lot about basic sciences and a lot of fundamentals. So like the science behind the human body, such as the osmosis and the basic chemistry within the body. We also took on doctoring, which is a skill which was all about how to do physicals, how to react to patients, how to be empathetic. Ethics, obviously, for the, there's a lot of items with having issues. There's a lot of hot topics nowadays, such as my wife's a vet, so I say the word euthanasia a lot. I know it's incorrect, but it's unfortunately my wife is a vet and has drilled that into me for some unbeknownst reason. And OMM. Every year we learn OMM, and this is like your basics of your musculoskeletal system, how to do high velocity, low amplitude, which is otherwise known as cracking in the other world, how to do myofascial releases, which is also just your massages to loosen up the fascia, which is underneath the muscle system, like these basic type of items before we start on the real topics. And I have to be honest with you, first year was actually a little bit of a slides aren't working. Ooh. Oh, sorry about that, guys. I guess the internet's not as great as I hoped it to be. So the first year is actually extremely rough. It was a lot of information thrown into me. We learned how to triage your information and how to balance life, and that was the main key, is actually figuring out how to balance life, because you can't be studying all the time. You have to have some fun. You have to have something else in your life, and for me that was exercising. Me and my roommates, we love to do mud runs. We like to go to the gym, and that's sort of like our stress release. After first year, you come to second year, and that was sort of like a different ballgame. This is when you're starting to learn medicine as it is. You start to learn pharmacology, pathology, your core basics. And we go through, again, a systems format where we'll go with lungs first, cardiology, neurology, and items like that. Then on top of this, we also have OMM again. So you're learning more your finer techniques, your cranials, your techniques that are actually very advanced levels. And We also, again, continued our doctoring skills. So we're still learning our physicals. We're still learning how to write notes. We're learning we have mock simulations in school about how to talk to patients. And we actually get tested on mock patients as well. And then also, of course, the end of level 2, at the end of second year is our level 1 or step 1 board scores. So this is a quick reminder: osteopathic students take the COMLEX, while MD students take USMLE. Level 1 is for osteopaths, step 1 is for MDs, and again, osteopaths can take both. This is actually one of the hardest years of my life, and I'm not going to lie, it was a lot of work. We were studying for at least 15 hours a day. It was very repetitive. A lot of us didn't even see sunlight. A lot of us were in the library all the time, but it was more clinical relevant information. So you sort of felt like you were, okay, I'm starting to get the basic knowledge of becoming a physician here, so that's good. Like I really appreciate like all the knowledge, and you're preparing for your hospital rotations. That's pretty much what it is. You also find out your hub locations, in our opinion. Our school scatters us to different hubs because they want to expose us to different places, to different environments, and that's the best thing about it. Also, again, boards was the hardest part of this year, and you spend about 3 to 4 months of just studying for boards. It's extremely difficult, and I'm sure no one ever wants to repeat this part of our life. And of course, my computer lags again. Oh, here we go. So third year, you're finally going to get into clinical rotations. What this means is you're going to actually be stepping onto the floors as a medical student with that shiny white coat, that short white coat. What I did my first year was I did cardiology, OBGYN, internal medicine, family medicine, surgery, psych, OMM, geriatrics, and pediatrics. I was a third-year medical student, so I had no idea what I was doing, but I was learning. I was eager to learn about how to become a physician. Shelf exams were also a part of this. So shelf exams are pretty much just an hour-and-a-half exams at the end of each cycle, in which they would test your knowledge, test your clinical knowledge, which was great. And then this is sort of around the time where we have to start answering, what do you want to be when you grow up? That's a very common question from physicians. Hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? And it's just noting on what kind of specialty you want to be. Level 2 and level 3 and the practical are also at the end of third year. So level 2 is more clinically based. It's more based on patients. And the PE is you walk into a room. You have 8 different patients. You walk into the room and you try to treat them like real patients. And they really grade you on your empathy, your diagnostic skills, your physical skills, and actually your notes as well. And they time you during all of this. So third year, it's a great feeling. It's the first time you're on floors. It's what you sort of went into medical school for. You're training to come to this level, and you start feeling like a physician, actually. Balancing your life becomes a little bit easier because you start to click back into your first year mentality. Okay, I can go to rotations. I can make time for my friends a little bit here and there, and I can study. And it starts becoming a lot easier. The biggest thing in third year is, what do you want to be? We really have to answer these questions because we have to go on away rotations and start auditioning soon. And what that means is we have to go to different places and start saying, hey, I would like a job here. Can I spend a month here to sort of pretend to be a physician, and hopefully you'll like me and I'll like you? That's sort of what that auditions mean. So a lot of us are having issues answering that question, but we need to really figure it out usually by the end of third year. So for a person like me, I figured out that I wanted to be emergency medicine. I wanted to do emergency medicine for the rest of my life, and I started planning my away rotations. In fourth year, I did 3 away rotations, and then the rest of the time you have, what's called your last year requirements, which for us, our school specifically, was EM, which is perfect because I already did EM. I'm subspecialty, which would mean cardiology, GI. I did infectious disease and pulmonary. These are the last year requirements, and then you also, most of your fourth year is actually taken up by what's called the match. So the match is when you apply to residencies, interview, and then you do what's called a rank order list. And your rank order list sort of dictates where you want to go, and then they plug it into this computer algorithm. The program directors at residencies also plug in their list of who they want, and then out pops your career for the rest of your life. It sounds sort of crazy having a bunch of type A's have their personality or have their future being decided by a computer, but I mean, it's nervous, but it's also somewhat entertaining to see where everyone ends up. So the majority of the year will be at the match, and this is actually the most. This is one of the nerve-wracking years because everything's out of your hands. You're constantly checking your emails for interviews. You're constantly waiting for someone to talk to you about whether you've matched into somewhere or not, or whether they like you or not. And it's very nerve-wracking because for someone that's very type A, again, I keep using the word type A, but we are type A. We're very controlling sometimes, and to have all the control taken out of our hands and put into someone else's hands is very nerve-wracking. But I can tell you now that after going through this entire process, matching is the best feeling you will have. I would say it almost rivals getting into medical school because you finally have a career now. You finally have a job now. And it's just fantastic. And during this entire time, I know I keep harking on how hard medical school is, but I really want to tell you guys that it's actually quite fun. I've made a lot of friends, a lot of brothers here, a lot of family here that I will follow for the rest of my life, and I will make sure I text half of these people on the screen that you see every day of my life. On this side is my roommates. This is one of my good friends who's doing OBGYN. This is another one of my good friends, and she's doing actually neurology in Maryland. And these are a bunch of third years. And then, of course, Ronak, who is another one of my good friends as well. And, we've all bonded because of this experience. So it's a very good experience to have. And as you can see, we don't always study during medical school life. We have time to travel. We have time to see interesting things. This is us in Chicago, us in Las Vegas. We went snowboarding. This is, again, me and my senior director, Jackie, when I was a junior director. This is Megan, part of Soma. So we had a lot of fun going through this route, and we were all nervous, but we were all nervous together. And that's what really, really counted. We were all family because we've been through the same thing. And the last thing I would really like to leave you guys on is that, I always leave this slide up because I truly take it to heart. I don't have dreams. I have goals. Now it's on to the next one. That's from Harvey Specter from Suits. And I really do believe that no one should have dreams. You should have goals. The difference is goals are achievable. Dreams are just a figment of your imagination. So you guys must always have goals. And there's always something better up ahead. So just because I'm matching the residency doesn't mean my goals haven't stopped. I don't end there. My next goal is to, hopefully be part of the AOA to help mentor the next generation of medical students. So never stop looking towards that next goal and never give up. And Dr. Dale, I'll turn it back to you.
Excellent. Very good. Thank you, Greg. That was really good. So we actually have quite a few people who RSVP'd who weren't able to show up. So we're recording it and we'll post it up on the site so people can see it. Let's do some questions. So you guys go ahead and post some questions while we've got Greg here. Take advantage. It's not every day you get the National Director of Pre-SOMA right in front of you to ask questions. So please do ask questions. What do we got? Somebody started off. Let's get a brave young soul to start off the questions.
Okay, so I think we have our first question here is, do you see osteopathic research growing in the future? That's actually a two-part answer, I believe. So it's funny you should mention that because the CEO of AOA recently came to talk to us about 2 hours ago to the SOMA leadership, and she was talking about growing research because there's a lot of research grants out there that no one's doing. So yes, I do see research growing. It's becoming a huge initiative in the AOA, especially for the medical students. And I know our research director is extremely excited to start with pre-medical students, seeing if they want to start doing research with a school nearby, with an osteopathic medical school nearby. And the second thing is as in terms of osteopathic research, so determining if OMM is actually a valid source and actually quantifying it through science. Yes, there are many articles I can tell you upcoming about, for instance, lymphatic pumps. It does actually decrease your pedal edema, and they're starting to measure these items and make this as a meta-analysis almost. So yes, there is a lot of research incoming. Okay, so that's a really good question. So The question is, what are the differences between board exams required for MD schools and DOs? So MDs take what's known as USMLE, and DOs take what's known as COMLEX, which I alluded to before. Now, DOs can actually take both exams, and you would want to do this is because some allopathic, so MD programs, want to see your USMLE, or they don't know how to convert a COMLEX score into a a COMLEX score into a USMLE score. On the other hand, MDs actually don't take COMLEX scores at all, because traditionally, osteopathic residencies don't take MDs. But now that everything is like starting to be thrown into the mix, I'm unsure as to really whether the MDs will be required to take a COMLEX score. I've heard some items about having a course for osteopathic or for MDs that want to be osteopaths. But again, this is all within the talk. So I hope that answers your question. If it doesn't, please feel free to ask a follow-up. Another one is it necessary to do research in medical school if you want to go into surgery? That's a very interesting question. I actually had a friend who matched surgery. One of my roommates, actually, he was out on the slides. He matched into surgery at St. Joseph's. He did not do any research in medical school. I think what's more important, really, is that you show well so that you have the knowledge and that you can play well with others. And what that means is you don't want to be what's quote-unquote a gunner. For those of you who have not heard that term, it's sort of a term of cutting someone's legs out underneath them. You're going behind their back. So I would say your personality matters more. If you have research, I don't think it will hurt. In fact, it will help you. But if you don't have research, it may affect you from going to top tier surgeries. But again, that's all dependent on your board scores and items like that. I got another one. So osteopathic med students can apply for MD residencies. Actually, and vice versa, or only osteopathic to MD. So actually, it's interesting. So in the past, this is what I'm talking about. The past, we had two matches: the ACGME match, which is the MD match, and the AOA match. Traditionally, DOs can apply to MD residencies, but MDs cannot apply to DO residencies. I'm actually a DO student that matched into a ACGME residency, which is an MD residency. Now that in the future they're all being combined, so I believe a lot of you are pre-medical students. So by the time you actually come into our realm of medical school and residencies, you're not going to need to make that distinction. You're just going to apply for a residency, and that's that. And then we have another question here. What study tips or methods would you recommend to incoming med students or students in general? You know, the biggest thing I would say is don't pigeonhole yourself to one tactic. I have a lot of friends that like, oh, well, I've always studied with books. But if it's not working for you, it's not working for you. Don't be afraid to try new items. For me, I was always a type of guy that would be like, I have to read this book. Didn't do so well in my first exam at medical. I became, I just shorted out. Can everyone, okay, here we go. So I would say that I was a person that didn't like books at the end of it, and I started to do more things like Picmonic or crazy drawings, but I understood what they meant. And I would say that the best way to really find your way is to try out different methods. So don't be afraid to try something that sounds silly because hey, it may just work for you. Would you say being a biology major would help with prepping me for med school in terms of that way that exam and tests are set up? What are the pros and cons? Hey, all right. Sorry guys, this my mic I guess is being a little finicky here. So I would say that a biology major would help you to some degree in terms of knowing the background information. But as you apply for medical school, everyone sort of has to have the same prerequisites. So I would really say that it doesn't really help you too much. It's hard to say. I've seen people with communications majors come into medical school and do great. I think it really depends on the person. I would say if you're not really into biology at all and you'd rather pursue a degree in chemistry, I would say go for it and just enjoy it. I heard that people who are majors other than sciences actually have better chances of getting in. So yeah, but you know why that is, because it's based on the GPA. So if you do a communications major and you're really good at it, or you do like animal science major and you happen to be really good at it, your GPA is going to look really high, and you only have to take your prerequisites. Your GPA is going to look high. So that's probably what explains a lot of that. People who do other majors have a better chance of getting in. So is the main difference between the MD and DO the OMM course, or can you elaborate on this course? So that's really not the main difference. DO, I try to boil it down as simple as possible for you guys, but really MDs and DOs are different in so many ways, that the practicing style, the way they're brought up, even between the two schools, you can see there's a clear distinction between the two schools, in that the DO schools really concentrate on bedside manner and being empathetic, and sometimes the MD schools concentrate more on knowledge and knowing the differentials. Of course, this is not a blanket statement. It's hard to state that every MD is going to do that, and hard to state that every DO is going to be empathetic. I would say that there was more difference. I would like to say that there's more differences back when we originally started and back when we originally originated from our osteopathic roots. Now it's more, we're all starting to become caring for the patient as a whole. But I believe osteopaths will always have that secondary nature of being, let me talk to the patient, let me find out that their spirit is okay, that their mind is okay, and that they're more concerned about these items. Am I cutting out? All right. Okay. Oh, let me elaborate on OMM as well. So OMM is actually a course where we learn how to do all different types of tenets of OMM. So like cracking, like I alluded to before, HVLA, high velocity, low amplitude technique. It's also known as cracking, which you've seen, like, people crack their necks left and right. That's sort of the same premise. But we also have other techniques, such as like the Spencer technique, which is good for frozen shoulders. It's using the body's own structure in order to help heal yourself, in order to help your muscles and your mind. So, for example, if someone has a headache and it's really coming from their neck, I can do a simple maneuver to help release the tension on that OA site that will help their headache. So it's all integrated. It's pretty much like physical therapy integrated with science, integrated with chiropractor. Any tips on seeking out mentors, doctors to shadow while in medical school? I start in this fall.
Hey, Gregory.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, just really quick before I answer the next question, I did want to say that Ms. Janet Martin's actually logged in as well, and she is one of the admissions directors from Lincoln Memorial University. Just so you guys know, she's there. If you have any questions specifically, she can type to you, but Gregory is doing such a great job that she wants Gregory to answer all the questions. I just want to let you guys know that she is there. So round of applause, clap for her being here and joining us. And Greg, before the next question, I also wanted to ask you, in terms of preparation for osteopathic medical school, what things should PreMed be doing differently than wants to go to osteopathic medical school versus allopathic medical school?
Before they go into medical school?
Exactly. Like, if I know I want to go into osteopathic, what should I be doing differently to prepare? Is it more clinical? Do I need to shadow an osteopathic physician?
Quite frankly, I strongly believe that you shouldn't be doing anything before medical school. I don't know if you feel the same way or not, but you're about to have a long road ahead of you. I would say travel. Travel and explore the world. But if you really got to do something, I would read. For an osteopathic student, I would read A.T. Still's journey. Why did he create osteopathic medicine? It's a very interesting story because he lost like a bunch of his daughters to diseases, and he formed this type of medicine because he believed that things like bloodletting and leaching was not the way to go. So I would say read that and sort of have an understanding of where your roots are from, because I always believe that your roots are more important, are very important to understand. Other than that, I don't think there's anything else that I would say. I travel. That's all I would say is travel. I'll get back to some of these questions here. Any tips to seek out mentors? So I would say doctors to shadow while in medical school. So I would say your school would be the best thing for that. They usually have a list of their alumni and what specialty they went into that you can contact. So I would say seek out your administrators and see what they can recommend. I know our school at Rowan SOM does it as well. And if that doesn't happen as well, you can always feel free to contact your SOMA, so your Student Osteopathic Medical Association, if you're an osteopathic student, and they can put you in touch with any one of their alumni. And trust me, as an emergency medicine physician that's going to be, I would be happy to mentor anyone. Can we contact you personally after the webinar? I would say sure. I leave it up to Dr. Dale to distribute up my information if he's okay with it. I would just say that I always try to get to my emails in time, but 48 hours, please. Like I can't keep track of a lot of emails sometimes, and it's really embarrassing. If you match into an MD residency, can you still practice osteopathic medicine even if it's not a DO residency? So yeah, actually the best thing is that once you become a DO, you are a DO for life. You have the training as an OMM, you have OMM training in you for life. And that's the beautiful thing about it. No one has to teach, no one has to supervise you. I mean, you can get supervision, but you can practice on your own. Like in an emergency setting, would I practice OMM on someone that's coding? Absolutely not. But would I practice it on someone with a headache? Sure. I mean, why not? It's just an extra tool in my belt that I can help these patients feel better. And if I can help them feel better, I'll do it. What was the name of that book? Well, there's multiple books. So if you just research A.T. Stills and just look at his autobiography online, and there's a bunch of good books out there. I don't remember the specific one I read in first year. Honestly, it's sort of a long time. I'm sort of embarrassed. Do you think docs will eventually be able to bill insurance for OMM services? Actually, docs are already billing for OMM services right now. In the hospital setting, there is specific ICD codes for cervical dysfunctions, and then CPT codes to match right along with it. So we are already billing for them. What is your opinion on taking a 5th year in medical school? Have you or your colleagues pursued this option or similar options? Okay. Okay. So let me try to answer this step by step here. My opinion on getting a dual degree is it depends on what your main goal is. If your main goal is to become a researcher, then I'd say do it. If your main goal is to become a pathologist, I'd say do it. If your main goal consists of being a cardiologist, I'd say do it. But other than that, in terms of like a JD, it really depends on what your main goal is. I think that if you feel that your degree would help you and benefit you immensely, I would say do it. Have you or your colleagues pursued any of these options? Yeah, actually, there was a guy who was 3 years ahead of us who slipped back because he wanted to do his PhD. It was a good idea for him because I believe he wants to do research, and so that's a great option for him. I played around with the JD idea, but then I realized I didn't have the tenacity to go after another degree, and I didn't do it. So if there's any particular advice, so I would say again, if it really fits your what you want to do, what your end goal game is, I would say do it. I love that. I've been looking into DOs as opposed to MDs, but I heard that it was harder for DOs than MDs. I'm assuming you're referring to. Let's see. I'm sorry. There's a lot of. So I mean, it depends on really what field you are going into. I would say osteopaths have more family medicine, more primary care programs. But if you want to be if you want to be like a cardiothoracic surgeon, I would say that your cardiothoracic surgeons, you probably want to go more of an MD side than a DO side. There are some great DO programs for cardiothoracic surgery, but I'd say you have a better shot at the MD side because they're more into specialties. They're more into those items. DO is easier to get into. Yeah, so again, that's not the notion at all. The stats clearly show that MDs and DOs have it's just as hard to get into now than it has been for a while since. For a while. I mean, there may have been a time way back in the day, probably like 80s, 90s, when we first started a lot of these schools, but nowadays there is no difference, and it's getting rougher and rougher out there. Do you think obtaining an MPH would be beneficial to succeeding as a DO? Again, that's really based on what you want to do with your degree. I got an MBS because twofold, because I wanted to raise my GPA, but also because I had a real interest in microbiology, and I was playing around with the idea of becoming a microbiologist at the time. I think it's helping me now because I understand microbes a lot better. I understand like the threats of bioterrorism, which is immensely scary, if I have to be honest. So yeah, I think it's making me more of a thoughtful physician. Are there any restrictions practicing medicine overseas? So actually, that's one of the main goals of the AOA right now, is to actually expand our rights in overseas. Right now, we have full practicing rights in America, but overseas, osteopaths are sort of seen as a different kind of physician. They're not seen as a physician. They're seen as a bone doctor of some sort. So I believe the AOA is currently really trying to go out, and actually they're even going so far as to even change the word osteopath in the Webster dictionary, and that's what the CEO told us today. So that was interesting. I have the impression. Oh, but I'm sorry. But being a physician, DO in the military, you can actually practice overseas. So you are still considered to be on American soil. So then that would not be an issue for you if you join the military. I have to put my Army plug in there. I have the impression that being a DO would give you an advantage to surgical specialties because you have a deeper understanding about it. Am I wrong? Is it harder? There are just fewer surgical specialties as a DO. Dermatology, I believe there are, I know it's not a surgical specialty, but just for example, dermatology, I think they only have like 2 residencies as an osteopath. So I think we concentrate really more on primary care and of those natures. So you would really, if you have a specific surgical specialty in mind, I'd recommend Googling the 2 types. But again, the match is being combined as we speak. By the time you guys get into medical school, it may not even be a factor for you. For IMGs, are there options of studying osteopathic medicine as well, or is it just MD by default? So again, osteopathic medicine is only studied in the United States. So if you're a foreign medical graduate or a foreign medical student and you want to come over to America to study osteopathic medicine, then by all means. But as far as I know, like the Caribbean schools, MDs, they're all MDs. So Ross, SGU, AUA, all these items are all MD schools. So there's anything else. And Mrs. Martin, sorry, I completely rattled off and went straight back into the question. But hi, Mrs. Martin. I'm glad you think I'm doing a pretty decent job here. Just trying to do my best. Do you have any advice for those interested in the military? What does it take? I would say that don't do it because of the money. That's what I would tell you. Don't do it for the money because you have to have a love of serving your country, and that's something that I've always wanted to do. The money is a plus, but it's not the reason why I joined. I joined because I'm willing to defend this nation and, for God and country. That's what they said when they always say it's for God and country. And what does it take? It takes, you have to do training. It's if you want more specifics, you can feel free to contact me separately because I don't know how many people are interested for military.
Hey, Greg, let me ask this question. In terms of the skill set that you learned with your OMM, does that encompass the skill set of chiropractors also?
Yeah, so it's actually funny because chiropractors sort of spawned off of us. So they were osteopaths, but they never actually completed their training completely. So we do HVLA, but we do it in a way where we understand that's not the only treatment method. It's not always a crack that takes it, that can cure you. We understand that it's a lot of myofascial release, a lot of basic ligaments, and a lot of other things that we can do. So it is only one option in our tool belt.
And let me ask you, being military in the field that you're going into emergency medicine, how can you use osteopathic manipulation to your advantage? There are things like you can do quickly in an emergency situation that actually have quick benefits to the patients?
For OMM, I would say it's more items that are long-term, that are more chronic, and that are not such things as life-threatening. Like I said, if a person is having a heart attack in front of me, I'm not going to go looking for a Chapman point. I'm going to push epi and I'm going to start, defibbing the person. But if it's items like, the person's been having chronic migraines, or the person's been having leg pain, or having like very chronic pain, that's something that we can help with. And that's really a lot of times what patients come in for. They've had it up to here with their chronic pain and they want some relief. And sometimes if they get through opioids, that's, I believe, a way that the opioid epidemic has sort of been happening. If we use more osteopathic manipulative medicine, that can help really alleviate some of that problem. So, but that's just my opinion. That may not reflect everyone's opinion, but that's so far as what I've been seeing.
So that's an amazing. Sorry, I don't mean to turn this into a conversation thing, but that's actually an amazing point that I never thought about. Is that a main thought with AOA? The opioid epidemic could be kind of curved or set back if we use more osteopathic manipulation? It sounds like a good point. I never thought about it before.
I can't speak for the AOA. I do believe I remember seeing some articles of back in the past where they have advocated the use of OMM for pain relief. And I know SOMA as a whole does advocate OMM as an option for pain relief. And I believe that that is a point of, I believe the AOA wouldn't disagree with me. But again, I don't have I don't have the CEO or president here to confirm my. Well, I mean, I could probably go get them, but I don't want to disturb them right now. Oh, apparently there was a JAOA article about it. So I must have gotten it from somewhere.
And in terms of you deciding what field to go into, I know you're Army, so that might have had something to do with it. But what things were you looking at? What made you want to go emergency medicine versus something else?
Yeah, so I've had actually a long history of emergency medicine. I used to work as a patient care tech. I used to be an EMT firefighter. I was the guy in the flipped upside down car, that guy that would crawl into the back and hold the patient, help the patient start a line. Yeah, that was me. And I was extremely young in my age, and my parents hated it. But, the reason why I joined emergency medicine was because I'm not a patient person. I want my results fast. And I also believe that there are some people that don't buckle under pressure. I actually only get faster and better when I'm under pressure. And I've proven that over my 10 years as a firefighter EMT. And also I love the procedures. And again, a huge factor though was just the ability to keep helping people. I think the best thing I've ever heard was, you're trying to help people in their darkest moment. You're their shining light in their darkest moment. And that's what I want to be. And that's why I originally joined medicine. So that was really a core that resonated with me. At what age did you become an EMT? I became an EMT when I was 17. And I'm 28, so it's been a long road for me. I'm thinking of trained to become one next year. Yeah, I think it's a great thing. I would just be extremely careful about you do see a lot of death out there, and it can discourage you. But I think it was a great way for me to explore medicine, and I don't regret it. And were you an EMT before you became a firefighter? So yes, I was an EMT before I became a firefighter. I became a firefighter a year later. It just seemed to meld extremely well for both sides. And also, I was the smallest guy on the engine, so they were going to throw me into the car anyways. So I might as well have some training to protect myself.
There's like a couple of questions that are being typed right now.
Very impressed. I just try to help my fellow neighbor. I never viewed I shovel my neighbor's driveway too because she's a little bit elderly, and I just think it's the right thing to do. It's my dad brought me up to be an old-fashioned kind of guy, and I just like to help.
Okay, Greg, let me show these videos now. So
okay.
When we tried to show the videos initially, I understood what you were telling me. I need to mute my microphone, so. Let me show the videos. I'll mute my microphone so you guys can watch these videos really quick. 1 minute a piece. And after that, then we'll take maybe 1 or 2 more questions, and then we'll thank Greg. But let me put these videos back on for you guys.
Okay.
Being a pre-med is hard work. With so much going on, how do you keep track of it all? You're in clubs, you're doing volunteer work, research, presentations, physician shadowing, the list goes on and on. The last thing you want to lose track of, all the wonderful things you've done during your pre-med journey. Well, you don't have to. With PreMed Star's on-track portfolio, you can log all of your pre-medical activities in one place and access them anytime from anywhere. When it comes time to apply to medical school, you'll be good to go. Stay on track with PreMed Star on-track portfolio. Join our online community of pre-medical students for free at www.premedstar.com and tell a friend. As a pre-medical student, you take a lot of notes. From introductory chemistry courses to advanced physiology, they keep on piling up. When the big tests come around, you need easy access to an organized set of notes. We've got you covered. Introducing NoteShare by PreMed Star. With NoteShare, you can organize all your notes in one place and access them anytime from anywhere. And here's the cool part. At the click of a button, you and your friends can share and edit notes. Couldn't get to lecture? Look it up on NoteShare. Don't understand a certain MCAT topic? Look it up on NoteShare. Find images, memorable mnemonics, and video summaries made by your fellow pre-meds. All on NoteShare. Join our online community of pre-medical students for free at www.premedstar.com and tell a friend. As a pre-med, you do some pretty cool things. Club leadership, shadowing, volunteering, research. Really amazing stuff. Wouldn't it be nice if there was a place you could showcase these things to medical schools before you applied? Well, there is. With PreMed Star's Recruitment Center, you can upload your pre-medical profile and allow participating medical schools and post-bac programs to view it. No matter where you are, no matter how busy you are, and no matter how much money you have, you can be a part of this recruitment fair. So show off a little. You never know. You just might get recruited to medical school. Join our online community of pre-medical students for free at www.premedstar.com and tell a friend.
Okay, so those were the videos. You guys can find those videos on the home page on premedstar.com. Couldn't do 10 years ago when I was a pre-med that you guys can take advantage of now, so please take advantage. And Greg, I'll let you scroll up and let's answer maybe 2 more questions, and that should get us to just at 7 o'clock.
Okay, here. So I see there's a lot of talk about scribes. I think it's a great idea. Actually, one of my friends was a scribe, and she matched recently also emergency medicine at St. Joseph's. But they are not like CNAs or EMTs. They just do the scribing. They just do the typing and the notes. You get great exposure, though. And is it possible to study and practice OMM while in an MD program? Yes, absolutely. So again, I mentioned before, that OMM is yours. That skill is yours forever, and it is a huge part of your identity as an osteopathic physician. Some people don't, but use it. But I think that you should use it when you can. You know, it's just like epinephrine. Not everyone gets epi, but you know it can help those people that do get it. And I guess the last question will be, Greg, how did you prepare going to your dream school right before the year started? You said they had you on wait list. So I actually prepared by applying to other schools. I accepted a role at SGU, which is a Caribbean school. And when I was prepared, I was reading a lot of books on the trials of being a physician. And I actually read a book called Young Doctors or Junior Doctors. And it really came into light about how it can be extremely difficult as a young person to deal with a lot of situations that, quite frankly, it can be overwhelming. So I really prepared myself mentally. I learned how to cook. Well, I've always known how to cook, but I learned how to cook fast. I learned how to do a lot of things, a lot of quote-unquote adult things, and really be able to live on my own in order to prepare to go into medical school. Because when you're in medical school, your parents aren't with you, and no one's there. Some people aren't there to help you. So, you know, again, I guess that's sort of the last question that we'll be taking. I just want to say, if you'll let me, Dr. Dale, is say thank you to my friends Nicole Hartman, James Moran, John Perrone, Billy Weeks, Rachel Abramchek. You guys are my family, and a special thank you to Paula Watkins, who's actually the Dean of Admissions at Rowan SOM. I screamed in her ear when I got the acceptance letter, and I just want to say thank you so much for taking a chance on me and for allowing me to live out my dream.
Excellent. Round of applause, Greg. That was phenomenal. It's funny being in the room by myself. The round of applause was just me. I thought it'd sound more more people. That was really good, Greg. And I'm going to go ahead, while I've got you on the spot, I'm going to ask you if you come back and do this for us again in a few months, because you're sharp, great answers, great experience, and we definitely want to have you back to talk about perhaps osteopathic medicine, but even if the military or maybe life as an intern physician. So I'm asking you right now in front of everybody, so I know you're not going to say no to me.
I will definitely not say no to you. I will absolutely come back. I love mentoring, and I believe those that have should give back.
There you go. But great, that was not. I'm not even joking. That was really, really good, and thank you so much. And people asking how they can access the recording. We'll put it on PreMed Star, and we'll put it on the YouTube channel as well. And I believe, Greg, that you guys will post it somewhere else from the osteopathic angle. Is that correct?
Yeah, so actually the AOA people that I've talked to, they actually want to post this on their site as well, and I'm sure this will go up on the pre-SOMA side as well in terms of the social media and the website.
So you guys, thanks everybody for joining. Sorry. Thank you guys for joining the call. Thank you, Greg. Sorry, I've got a cold.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate talking to all of you, and those are great questions.
Everybody, definitely, if you haven't considered osteopathic medicine, I hope this kind of opened your eyes to go check it out. We have some osteopathic schools on the site who are strong participants, such as LMU, Janet Martin, in the webinar tonight. We've got a couple of osteopathic schools on the site, ATSU, and some other schools. So please definitely consider this. It's a wonderful option, wonderful career path. I've always thought I got an MD. I'm happy with my MD, but I've always thought there's just a whole other sector that I didn't learn, which kind of makes me feel strange. There's something that I don't know that's out there, which I could use for my patients, which I don't like that feeling, but that's the route that I went. But definitely explore that career path. PreMed Star, you guys, please continue to stay active on the site. We've had tons of people join these past few days, so we're really excited about that. So keep inviting your friends to join. We've recently added the question of the week. So you guys log into PreMed Star, you'll see on the right side of your screen, there's a question of the week there. So make sure you take that question. You can challenge your friends to take the question as well. Note Share should be up next week, so take advantage of Note Share. On-track portfolio is already up, so take advantage of that. And we're sponsoring pizza parties. So if you haven't signed your school up, your PreMed Club, for a pizza party yet, go ahead and sign up for a pizza party. We will pay for a pizza party and want you guys to eat and be happy with your PreMed Club. So thank you guys for joining the webinar tonight. Please join again. We do it the first Tuesday of every month. So mark it on your calendar, just block it out for the whole entire year. Tell your friends, and we will see you guys next time in 1 month. Thank you again, Greg. And if anybody wants his contact information, send an email to info@premedstar.com, or better yet, send a message to the PreMed Star account. Log into PreMed Star and send a message to the PreMed Star account. And as long as it's okay with you, Greg, we will pass his information on to you guys for mentorship.
Absolutely.
So we're all about mentorship. Greg's all about mentorship. So we're going to do this together. We want to do everything we can to help you guys become medical doctors or osteopathic doctors. Thanks for joining. We will see you guys next time. Have a good night.